So this video is going to be a little different than the type of topics that we cover around here in the Psychopath Exposure show. I want to talk about the problem with introverts today. And I'm not taking a dig. I say problem because I want to highlight why introverts are misunderstood, mislabeled. I'm an introvert, so if anything, I'm taking a dig at myself, and I'm not trying to do that today. But I want to give you guys an idea of what it is to live, to go your day by day as an introvert in this modern world, in this world that's been created by extroverts, in a world that is breeding narcissism and the whole look at me culture and posting everything online and whatnot. And I don't want you guys to confuse introversion with narcissism or psychopathy. So let's just jump right in. If you're an extrovert, you will never understand how an introvert operates. I would even go as far as saying that introverts have a better idea of how the extroverted mind works than the other way around. I have many friends that are introverts, and I have a few that are extroverted, and obviously I don't spend a lot of time with the extroverts because the extroverts always need to be around people. The extrovert rarely invites you to do something unless 3 or 4 or 5 people are coming along as well. It always has to be a party because the extrovert feeds off of small interactions with lots of people. The extrovert feels extremely comfortable in an elevator talking to strangers. They feel great going to a party and chit-chatting a little bit with everybody there. The extrovert has no problem going to the bar to have a drink or two while the wife is getting her hair done or her nails done. He'll go to the bar and he'll start small talk with everybody there. They'll have no problems opening up, talking about politics and giving their opinions, or talking about the weather, or talking about insignificant things. It matters not what the topic is. It's just how easy it comes to them to talk. They'll go out and they'll walk their dog, and they'll talk to everybody else who's walking their dog. The extrovert will be in his or her head, right? They'll be looking around, and it may seem as if they're judging everybody. It may seem as if they have some sort of entitlement because they're not just out there talking to people and they're keeping to themselves. And that's where the misunderstanding comes. It has nothing to do with that. The introvert lives in their head. They're deep thinkers, and they look at the world different. They feel that every word that comes out of their mouth in conversation should mean something. The introvert does not get any type of value about talking to a stranger for 30 seconds in an elevator about the weather. Oh, it's so hot. It's hot as brutal out there, isn't it? Ooh, it's cold today. I got my jackets out. Get to wear my gloves. All right, have a good day. Like, what's the point of that? It's insignificant. You're not going to remember it in 5 seconds. You're not going to think about it anymore. But the introvert will actually walk home or walk into their apartment or wherever they're at whenever they come out of that elevator, and they're going to be thinking about how that interaction went. They're going to be judging themselves. They're going to be thinking, oh, man, like, I lasted 10 seconds. Good. Like, I hope that person didn't think I was weird. Because what's normal for an introvert is to give you your space. If they see that you're quiet, the introvert does not is not compelled to go up to you and bother you. The introvert thinks, hey, look, this person's keeping to themselves. They're doing their thing. I'm not about to impose my will on them. We're not going to do that. I had to train on how to do things that went completely against my natural instincts. I had to train myself for years to be able to talk to strangers, to be able to strike up a conversation, to be in awkward situations, and instead of making it more awkward by avoiding it, I made it less awkward by being more awkward. Try and make sense of that. Like doing the awkward thing when everybody in the room already knows it's awkward, and just calling it out. Hey, I know this is awkward, but I just wanted to let you know that I think those shoes are hot. I like your style, right? And just engage in a conversation. You see a pretty girl that you like. I had to train to go up to them and to swallow the awareness that she probably does not want to be bothered, swallow the awareness that she might have a boyfriend, swallow the awareness that it's just not common practice to talk to strangers like that unless you're just talking about the weather or asking for directions. And to be able to do that and feel my nervous system just falling into an abyss, like wishing the floor would open up and swallow me, right? And feeling those things and do it in any way. Feeling the sense or the impression, feeling the impression of rejection when the girl wasn't interested. And to be able to smile and go about my day in a cold sweat, right? Because immediately you think that everyone's looking at you, and everything like this tends to happen, and you feel that everyone's like laughing. Look at that idiot talking to that girl. What a loser. You think everyone's thinking that, and people are minding their own business. They might look, but they get back on their phone. I remember there was this really pretty girl at the beach, and she was surrounded. It's like she had a bunch of orbiters around her. Jack dudes, like tattooed, this and the other. This chick was hot, and of course I was with my friends, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go up and talk to her. Now that's not my normal, right? That's not my default. That was me practicing this thing over and over and over and over and over again, to the point that I was able to do it. And I was very successful at it, actually, for taking that risk. And my friend who was there with his girlfriend, they were like, I can't believe, like, how did you do that? And I was like, it wasn't easy, but at the same time, it was simple. It's just that for an extroverted person, that's second nature. It's not a big deal. They'll talk to the girl whether they think she's cute or not. They're not looking for anything in return. But for the introvert to go up to a stranger, that's hard. That's not easy. So I would have to do things like that. And sometimes you flirt in the uncanny valley, because when you're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone and you're not comfortable doing it, people can tell that you're not comfortable. And that could be mistaken as wearing a mask. Like we say, the narcissists, that they wear a mask and they pretend to be something that they're not. When weeding out a narcissist, it's not just, you can't just go by on one thing like, oh, like for example, my ex psychopath narcissist was an extreme introvert, and an antisocial, and an anti-social person who hated people. I can't just go based on that and say, oh, that's right, my ex was antisocial and she hated people and she was introverted and she wouldn't talk to anybody, and that's what all narcissists are. No, it has nothing to do with that. In her case, yes, she had all the checklists of what makes a psychopath. She checked all those off. But that's, if you're interested in learning more about that and that story, I mean, I have tons of videos in my archives and on the channel. You can check that out. But generally speaking, introverts just they like to keep to themselves. They recharge better when they're alone. They recharge in silence. Like quietness, right now it's really quiet in here. And I feel great. I feel great. An extrovert will be losing his mind. And they will have to have music on, and they will have to have people over, and they would have to be on the phone and texting at the same time. They need that. They need to be, they wouldn't even be able to be indoors. That's why, in 2020 during the lockdowns, a lot of people lost their minds, especially like extroverted people that had no one else to talk to except for their spouse. They were just losing it. They need to be out there in the corporate world interacting. They need to be knocking on doors. They excel at those things. The introvert doesn't. The introvert has to train to do those things. And what's cool about that, it's a lot of these skills are learnable. They're learnable skills. The same way, an extrovert can learn to sit in the quiet. An extrovert can learn to just read a book and be alone in a room and not talk to anybody. They're going to feel terrible, but they can learn it if they wanted to. It's just not what comes naturally. You see, it's just not what comes naturally. So, the introvert focuses on their internal world. That's how they operate. The external stimulation it's a different thing, right? They're all internal. So they excel communicating more at a one-to-one level, right? They can talk to you one-on-one. They feel safe, and they'll go into deep topics with you, and they'll talk for hours with you. Now, here's the thing, though, and I can tell you this as an introvert myself. If we notice, right, now I'm very good at this. If we notice that you have like that dead eye look, or if we sense any type of patronizing tone, right, in your responses, if we get the slightest inclination that you're not interested in what we have to say, and that you're just repeating the last 3 words of my sentence to sound like if you're listening, if we can tell that you're not really a deep thinker and you're not interested in that topic and you don't know what you're talking about and you could care less about what we're saying, that's an instant checkout. Right? And the snap would have been cooler, but this mic is blocking me. There you go. We check out right away. And that's it. You'll see the introvert at a party. And those are the ones that are hanging out by the wall. They're keeping to themselves. They might, if they connect with somebody at that party, chances are they're going to talk to that person the rest of the night. Right? Now, one thing that happens with introverts, and this is really, really annoying because I've been through this many, many times in my life. And again, I've trained to improve my extroverted social skills. I've trained for a long time. So I may come across as someone that's extroverted for XYZ reasons, but I'm not. However, I'll give you one example. Like, I'm not a shy person. Like, I have no problems public speaking. I may judge myself harshly for not being a great public speaker. I may judge myself harshly for my lack of vocabulary or the presentation. I'll be hard on myself. I can be OCD about stuff like that. But I have no issues. I remember being in a convention once, and the host mentioned something about borderline personality disorder and narcissism. And, some of my subscribers know exactly who I'm talking about. And, I was just raising, I wanted to give my 2 cents on the topic because he was like sharing a situation that happened with him. And I remember when it happened to him, having attended many of his courses and his workshops. And I hadn't been through what I had been through yet with my psychopath. And after I did and I was there, I wanted to say what I needed to say. And he gave me an opportunity to speak. And I controlled a room of about, I don't know, it was 300 to 500 people in there. And it's like, I didn't plan that. That was improvised. I wasn't expecting to speak. I didn't go in there thinking that there was a chance that I was going to speak on anything. That was me sitting down at a workshop. I'm going to be here in this workshop for 3 hours. I hope I can learn the most that I can learn from this workshop that I paid money for. And he gave me the floor for 15 minutes. And I had a lot of people come up to me after, like thanking me and asking for more information. This is right before I had started the channel. And it's like, how was I able to do that? And the reason is I have no problems standing up in front of a crowd and performing. I have no problems. If I could book a show at Rose Bowl in California or whatever huge arena, you name it, to sing and perform my music with my band and whatever and rock the crowd, I mean, let's go. Let's do it. I'll do it for free. It's not something that I'm going to be nervous about. Oh, no, everyone's looking at me. What if I fail? No. If I can stand up in front of a crowd and talk to everybody in that crowd and everyone's watching me, I'm going to put on a hell of a show. A hell of a show. As a fucking introvert, I'm going to put on a hell of a show, and I cannot fucking wait to do it again. Now, if I were to be in that same arena with hundreds of thousands of people, not even 100, 200 people, 300 people, and you tell me, hey, you got to go and introduce yourself to 5 people and talk to them for about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes each. If you tell me to do that, if that's like my assignment, oh man, now that's a different story. You're telling me to go and just bother? You want me to bother these people that have better things to do in their life? I'm going to have to stop them and try and hold their attention and talk about something to someone that I don't give a fuck about, someone that could care less if they drop dead in front of me because I've never seen them in my life. I have to go and pretend to be interested in something and be excited about talking to them, knowing that they don't want to talk to me. Oh boy, see, then that's the difference. See, the extrovert wouldn't have a problem. The extrovert would have already done that before you even ask them to do it. But the introvert is like, hell no. Hell no. Like I said, I would rather perform a show in front of millions of people. In front of millions of people, live audience. They're there with their stupid phones and they're all watching me, all the lights. If I miss a note, if I forget the lyrics, if I slip, I don't give a fuck. But tell me to go talk to those people and interrupt them and like, hey, hi, you don't know me, but hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. Fuck out of here. I don't want to do that shit. That's the thing. That's the problem with the introvert, that they miss out on great opportunities because we're afraid or because we don't feel comfortable stopping somebody and, yeah, showing them what you're about, offering them some sort of value and not worrying about whether they're interested or not worrying about what they're thinking or not, just doing it. I look back at, most of the girls that I've dated in my life, and it was usually a cold approach. It was usually me seeing a pretty girl and wrestling with my thoughts that were telling me, that were giving me 10 million reasons why not to do it. And I just went ahead and I did it. And they all told me the same thing. They were like, I was glad. I was hoping you would have talked to me. I was hoping you would have talked. I was trying to make it all. I was trying to make eye contact. I was trying to get within your proximity. I was hoping you would talk to me because most men don't. And since I know that, I understand this no risk, no reward, right? Or however that is. But it doesn't mean that it was easy. But you have to realize how many people out there, like, again, talking about myself here, it would be a utopian society, right? If I could just be at a coffee shop by myself, as I usually do, because I like doing things by myself. See, that's another thing about the introvert. We love going to the movies by ourselves. We love going to restaurants and sitting down, nice fucking 5-star restaurant, sitting there by myself, ordering the fucking filet mignon, right? I don't give a damn. not a problem. Going to the coffee shop, having a coffee, reading a book, working on my stuff by myself, not a problem. There are some people that cannot even fathom going to the beach unless they're going with like 4 or 5 people. They just cannot. Are you kidding me? You they can't even go to Chili's by themselves. Like, are you fucking out of your mind? You mean I have to go by myself? What would people think? I can't do that. What am I going to do by myself? That's the difference. So I digress, but it would be such an electrifying experience if wherever I went, people would just come up to me to talk. If all the pretty girls in the world just came up to me and introduced themselves, all they would have to say, right? They wouldn't have to say much. They wouldn't have to carry a conversation for like 5 minutes. Just them coming and saying, "Hi, I noticed, I don't know, I noticed your gloves. I noticed the pen you're writing with. I noticed that that's a cool laptop. Whatever, anything, it doesn't matter. Just showing interest, that automatically would give me the green light to know that, hey, this person is actually interested in the words that I'm going to utter back to them, right? And that it's on and it's cool. Life would be so much easier if it was like that, wouldn't it? And that's why I laugh when people on the streets, sometimes pretty girls, they'll stop you, but they're selling something. They want you to sign up for a petition, some animal rights thing, or they're trying to sell you, things for your nails, some freaking cellular cell phone plan or whatever. You go to the mall and you have they stop you and they try to sell you something that you don't want, and see, that's different. Right? That's different because that person is not interested in you. They're only interested in your money and making a sale. Yeah. So that's why I tell people, it's like, hey, don't confuse when, the pretty waitress treats you really, really nice and doesn't charge you for the Coke and, flirts with you a little bit. She's just doing her job. She wants a good tip, and you should tip her. At that point, you should give her a good tip, and then when you come back, she'll remember you, and hopefully she'll remember your name, and then she hooks you up with stuff, and then you tip her a little bit more, and that's a cool interaction. But do not think that this girl likes you. Do not think that the stripper at the strip joint that gave you her number after you paid for the lap dance, do not think that girl is hoping that you save her from her chosen career, and that you guys have a connection. Like that's just her trying to recruit more services in the future. There's so many guys, and see, that's the thing. A lot of introverts, since introverts don't have many connections, they confuse basic like basic conversation. They confuse services like that as love, and they'll fall in love. And it's like, yo, don't fall in love with your doctor, just because your doctor is touching you and and interested in your health, and don't fall in love with your doctor. Don't fall in love with your therapist, right? Don't fall in love with your waitress. Don't fall in love with a bartender, especially not the bartender, because the bartender, what's a bartender selling you? They're selling you alcohol, right? They're selling you alcohol. What happens when you drink alcohol? What happens to your mind? What happens to your brain, right? You get loose and you make dumb decisions and you spend more money. Do not fall in love with the bartender. Don't do things like that. I remember the Tom Cruise film, Cocktail, and all the girls were just falling in love with him, with all the stuff that he would do behind the counter. And it's like, girls, like, don't be dumb, and him too. You got to realize that those girls are going gaga over you for the wrong reasons. But I don't know, maybe that's just my introvertedness overthinking things like that, because you see, we do live in our head. That's why when you go through like a narcissistic abuse entanglement, and for an introvert it's really hard, because not only are we usually in our head, but then the rumination is like amplified 500,000 times worse when you go through that type of stuff, But speaking about narcissists, do not confuse a quiet demeanor that the introvert carries. Do not mistake that. Do not confuse that for superiority. You know, don't think that. Don't think that because they're emotionally reserved. Don't think that they're being manipulative. Don't think that because they dwell in solitude. Don't think that they're an avoidant attachment style, right? Or that they're being passive aggressive because they choose to be by themselves. If they have boundaries. Don't mistake the boundaries for coldness, for like a narcissistic, like a psychopathic, just being cold. No, like when you set boundaries, like one of the boundaries that I like to help my clients in my coaching program establish is the boundary of not having to justify, defend, or explain your position. Right? When you set a boundary, it's not up for debate anymore, and that may come off as cold, but that's the only way that you can uphold that boundary. Right? That's the only way that you can uphold it. So those traits, you may see some of those traits in a covert narcissist, but that doesn't mean that the introvert that portrays those personality traits, that doesn't mean they're covert narcissists or psychopaths. The key difference, guys, is the intent, right? What intention do they have when they do those things? Okay, like the introvert is going to withdraw to protect their energy. All right, like I've had to do that with certain friends. That is like, oh, things just got toxic, and it's not that it got toxic. Like, oh, this is another psychopath narcissist. Time to block them. No, it's like, okay, I need to pull away from this person for a few days. That's it. It's nothing personal, right? It's not like we're never going to speak again. It's like that. I need to pull away. I need to protect my energy right now. I got to withdraw. But the covert narcissist will withdraw to control the perception or to punish you. Kind of like they'll give you the silent treatment to punish you. They know what they're doing. They know that it hurts you. So they do that on purpose. It's different for the introvert. It's a totally, totally different situation. So you have to be able to identify those things along your journey. We process the world, it's like an internal processing. We feel deep. We may not always show it, but we feel really, really the depth of our emotions. They're legendary. We prefer quality over quantity when it comes to friends and relationships. Like we would much rather have 5 solid friends that you can call up at any time and talk for like 2 or 3 hours than to have 500 friends that you can just invite to a party. And now it looks like you're Mr. Cool, Mr. Popular. Oh, I got all these people. I just make a few phone calls and I got, 10 Latina with plastic surgery, cold, succubus, narcissistic, cesspool thirst traps on my fucking boat. Nah, I don't think so. I don't let that. No, that's all bullshit anyway. That's all bullshit. We don't like the small talk. The small talk is meaningless. Don't get it twisted. It's not that we don't want to talk to you because we don't like you. It's that if there's nothing to say, then we rather respect your space. We would rather just not bother you. We're being nice to you by leaving you alone. You see that? And that's what's crazy is that even if the other person is like, man, I wish, like I know women, like they'll be there and they're like, man, I wish this dude would talk to me. Right? Because girls are not going to make the first move. So a girl's going to see someone, they're going to see a guy that she's attracted to, and she's going to hope this guy has balls and can at least come up to me and introduce himself or at least say something interesting to me. But if that's an introvert, he's probably going to leave you alone because like, hey, you know what? She's probably married or has a boyfriend or doesn't want to talk to me or yada, yada, yada. And that's the problem. Especially in modern dating, like you need to be able to do these things, even though they go against your nature. You need to be able to do these things in order to get the things you want. The same thing is with building a clientele, with building a business, with getting new clients, with getting new contracts. Like you have to be able to talk to people because as one of my mentors told me not so long ago, he's like, sometimes somebody will drop they'll drop like a napkin, or they'll drop their pen by accident, right? And then you're like, oh, as a nice person, you squat down and you pick it up for them. Hey, you dropped this, by the way. And then just like that, just out of that, and this has happened to me. I'm not making this shit up, and I'm sure it's happened to you. Just that small deed alone strikes up a conversation, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, what do you do again? For that's what you do. I'm actually looking for someone like that now in my company. Holy shit, like serendipity, yeah. That's how things happen. You sometimes you need to be able to talk to people and just make that little small talk here and there just to connect with somebody, you know? But unfortunately for the introvert, it is, it's not easy. They need more time to open up, to trust you, and that's the problem. A lot of introverts do miss out on great opportunities. That gives the extrovert the advantage in that situation, but at the same time, the extrovert has many things that don't work out in their favor. I'd rather maybe do an interview with an extrovert so they can actually tell you those things. But don't think that being an extrovert is the way to go. If you're an introvert and you're watching this video right now, I hope that you appreciate that, being what you are is actually pretty fucking cool. It's not like you're a rare breed. I would say is like 50-50 maybe, or 60-40, if anything, extrovert to introvert ratio. It's not like introverts are like 2% of the population or anything like that. Some people just keep to themselves, and when you get to know them, they don't shut up. When you like, again, I dated a psychopath narcissist, by the way. My name is Kira, and I dated a fucking psychopath narcissist. And, man, that chick wouldn't shut the fuck up. But when she was around my friends or my parents, she wouldn't say a word. Not a single word. It was just quiet. Complete quiet. But once she got to know me, and she, was in my space, then she wouldn't shut the fuck up. All right? And that's how we are. Right? We'll talk and talk and talk. As long as it's a deep conversation and we feel there's some sort of value that's being shared, that's being exchanged, we can go on. But the moment we feel that it's just, there's a patronizing tone, we're just spinning our wheels, if we notice that you just want to be heard, like if you have a particular, I don't know, political, religious stance, and you just want to say what you want to say, and you have no intentions of listening to an opposing point of view or anything, you just want to spit out your shit, we're just going to check out. We're going to check out, and that's it. And you're going to notice it. I hope you notice it. I hope you realize I'm not interested. And that's it. I had a friend of mine invited me the other day to do something cool that we often do. But I asked him, just by the way the invitation was, it wasn't like, hey man, you want to go do this tomorrow? It was more like, hey, I'm doing this. You want to join? And I was like, who else is going? And he's like, oh, so far this person and this person and this person and this person. And I was saying, that's probably why I'm going to decline, even though I would love to do the thing. And I was like, but why? And I was like, because you know what? I don't want to go out there and be a fucking introvert. And I don't want to go out there and spend a lot of energy pretending that I like those people and that I want to talk to them, because that's what an introvert has to do. We have to pretend to do it. We have to force ourselves to do it. We have to train. Like I said, I can do it. I can be very good at it. And a lot of times that turns into a great relationship. And a lot of times, believe it or not, these people that I don't want to talk to, these people that haven't introduced themselves to me, these people that I might be thinking that, hey, I'm probably bothering them, and I go and I make a little small talk, oftentimes, they're introverts too. And because I was able to talk, we got through those small talk filters quick, because, see, introverts don't like small talk. And two introverts will know right away that they'll be able to skip all that BS and go straight into something deep and something that's cool. And before you know it, we're talking. Again, situation. Same friend of mine, we're at the beach. And I'm doing some cool shit. And he goes and he starts talking to everybody. It's like he knows everybody there. All right, so I stayed doing the thing. And then he introduced me to one of the dudes there who's like an older retired fella. And he tells him a little bit about me. He's like, oh, he does this and this and that. Turns out that dude is a multimillionaire that holds like 80 patents. He's in the music industry. He's developed all sorts of music mixing, mastering. He's working with AI now with algorithms and things like that. He sells all these patents, and he's retired, and he's a DJ. And, because he told him that I was a music producer, we were able to have a conversation. And of course, just based off of the lingo and certain terms that I used, and I wasn't trying to throw terms to sound smart, it's just the way we speak, he knew that I knew what I was talking about. And then another dude who was drunk, they were both drinking, but another dude comes in, and he's slurring, and he starts talking all this nonsense and whatever, and then, he tells him, he's like, no, he knows his shit, right? Because the guy was trying to explain something. He's like, no, he knows his shit, don't bother, he knows his shit. And we exchanged contact, and he was asking me questions, I was asking him questions, and we spoke for like 45 minutes. And it's like, this is someone that I had no interest in. You're there holding a beer with your beer belly and shit. And like, I'm not going to go talk to you. And look at that. The other guy, by the way, the guy who came into the conversation was an attorney. A lot of money. And his yacht was parked out there. And it's like, wow, shit. Okay, these are people that I should probably be cool with. These are people that I could probably learn from. These are people that it's cool to have on your Rolodex. It's cool to have on your social circle. And you're not going to, those opportunities, you're not going to see them unless you can get out of your head, unless you can get out of your comfort zone and do the thing that scares you, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes. And before you know it, your life just got better. So don't think that being an introvert is a bad thing. It's not. Just be careful. Like, when you're dealing with narcissists and psychopaths, obviously not every introvert is harmless. Just like not every extrovert out there is the safest person to talk to either. But, if the introvert is emotionally immature, if they're highly insecure, if they're carrying a lot of baggage and trauma, if they're wounded, yeah, they may resort to passive-aggressive behaviors. They may use silent treatment as punishment. They may become emotionally unavailable or highly manipulative just to get back at you. So those are the things that you need to be able to recognize, so you can decipher between, just an introverted person that's probably just a deep thinker and has a lot to bring to the table in a conversation. Do not think that that's just that person out there that's not talking. Don't think that they're just, oh, that's a creepy psychopath. Look at them. They don't talk. They're just looking. That's not the case. You need to communicate with that person before you can make that decision. It's a good starting point to be careful and be like, I wonder why that person's keeping to themselves, Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're just introverted and they're shy, right? Maybe they're waiting for you to come and talk to them, and all of a sudden that resting bitch face goes away the minute you introduce yourself, and they, oh, wow, thank you. Hi, nice to meet you too. Happens way too many times. So, but, you do hear a lot about the avoidant personality, the avoidant attachment style. You hear about those things a lot lately, and I think it goes hand in hand with what I'm talking about here. But if you wanna learn more about like the avoidant personality disorder and how it resembles like narcissism, it resembles NPD and all that stuff, I actually made a video for that a few weeks ago. And I do encourage you to check it out here. You can get more information on that and upgrade your knowledge on the latest trending topic in psychology. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. See you around.